right, welcome back to another episode of Questions with Crocker with me, Dr. Crocker, an emergency veterinarian, practice owner, and married to Shane Crocker. How are you?
I'm good.
You doing okay?
Driving range is closed today. Just found out.
You just got the bad news. I know it's actually raining in Texas, which doesn't happen that often. And it's back up to like 85 degrees and humid, which stinks. But we needed the rain, so we'll take it.
Never need the rain.
You always need the rain. Think about the crops and all the other things. We take care of animals.
It can rain at night. Honestly.
And that way it doesn't affect your golf game.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty much about Shane and his golf game is what you're saying.
I wouldn't say 100% about that, but...
Well, how is the golf game going? Doing okay?
I re-grip my clubs.
Yeah, so I don't really know what that means. You spent hours the other day in the garage and you were doing something with the clubs that I thought you just had made. And then you had to do something to them on top of having them made, which I don't really get 100%.
YouTube inspired me that I needed larger grips and encouraged me that I could do it myself.
Speaking of YouTube, if you want to watch our podcast and watch us during these episodes, we are on YouTube. But your YouTube is very different than mine.
Yes.
I definitely watch more veterinary hospital stories, and I like to see the behind the scenes and see what people are doing and the cases and the interactions. So I enjoy YouTube. You watch golf.
Mm-hmm.
That's all you do. Should we tell everybody about your newest purchase?
Which is?
Did we already talk about it?
Oh, I don't know.
I don't think we did. Actually, Harrison, we talked about this. You can cut it out. But so I came home from a trip and we were eating.
I think we did mention that.
We did mention it. So the car.
Yes.
The car. Where's the car right now?
In our garage.
Is it?
I went and got it this morning. While you were asleep.
Where was it recently?
It was getting the transmission fluid changed out.
So we just got the car.
Yeah.
And it already needed to be serviced.
Yes.
Sounds like a great purchase.
You can't justify anything about the car, so I'm not going to try to justify.
I will say the car has gotten me some more really fun date nights, so I'll take it. And your daughter really likes it and thinks it's fun to drive around in, which the only thing I worry about is that setting her up for in the future looking for like the fast car? I don't know if we want that.
Setting her up for the future to find a successful husband that'll
have
provide.
A nice car.
Yes.
Okay. I can kind of make that make sense a little bit.
This is like your math stuff.
It's my girl math or vet math.
Yeah.
Listen, that is accurate. So speaking of that, on TikTok, there is a trend. We're going to do some TikTok tea where you talk about girl math, which is basically saying like if you get a Starbucks and you have points on your Starbucks, that it's free because you didn't actually have to pay money for it at the time.
It's the most ridiculous thing.
So your background's finance, so I'm sure you get it, right?
It's not math? Yes, I get it. 100% I get that.
It's a mentality, right?
It's credit card rebates.
It's a mentality, which we don't pay for Christmas because we use credit card for Christmas. So there's now a trend, they're doing like boy math, dog math, all these different ones. And recently, a friend of mine, Dr. Deere, she's an emergency veterinarian also, and she did vet math. And it actually was really, really funny. It had a couple things on there. The one I loved was the meaner the pet is, the longer it'll live, which is like 100% the relationship we see in veterinary medicine. Also, like the more difficult the owner is, the longer the pet will live. I did one where I talked about basically heart prevention is like dramatically less cost than paying for heartworm treatment. And so if you basically take care of your pets and you give them prevention, you don't have to pay for heartworm treatment. You're making money.
Much like me changing out the transmission fluid in the car.
Oh, okay. I see how you circled that back to you and your car, your mistress that you have. And there's some funny ones about like if a veterinary professional gets a pet, then that pet is going to have medical issues. Like that is just a relationship we see in veterinary medicine, which I think that you and I would probably agree with that because our cat has urinary issues and has to be on special diet. And I got it because it was at the ER and couldn't pee. And our dog, what did our dog do this weekend?
It ate stuff again.
Ate stuff constantly. Again. I mean, at this point, he works through it most of the time or he throws it up. But, it's funny because the internet is so judgmental. And so if I like post a funny story or reel, like talking about him eating stuff, people will be like, well, if you just trained him better, he would never do that.
Yeah.
He wouldn't eat stuff he's not supposed to. I'm like, that's like saying like, if you don't do A with your kids, like they'll never do B.
Training Corbin not to talk.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Like there are certain things, like a Labrador is made to smell things and to eat them. Like that is how they are created genetically. And if we had gotten this dog when it was a puppy, like we had 2 other labs that we got from the time they were 8 weeks old, and they were trained really well, and they didn't really eat things they weren't supposed to, except the one time that they both ate like almost an entire bag of dog food together. Yeah. And they got like severe distension of their bellies. But other than that, they didn't really get into stuff. So I just want to put it out there that I have trained a Labrador to not eat everything. However, this one we got when he was a little older, and we're kind of past that.
Some of that's genetics. Like our last 2 labs were like lazy labs that just wanted to lay around and sleep.
Well, and there really is. It's funny. There are like within different breeds, there's like the working side of them, and then there is like the lazier side of them. So, both of us know labs that are like duck dogs or hunting dogs, and those dogs are really driven, need a job, need to like go all the time. We prefer not super busy dogs in general. So, but yes, I don't even know like where I started with all that, but the internet is judgmental.
Welcome to our podcast, which is completely randomness.
The internet is judgmental, and it actually brings us to our question today, which I think is really interesting. And part of the reason I enjoy social media is because I feel like as much as like I can share and I can teach people, like I also learn from the other people that I interact with on social media. So there all of a sudden was like this run of videos where people were saying like, it's a red flag, basically, when a practice says in their ad that they feel like a family, or it's like a family there, or they're family friendly. Basically, if they use
the word. That's a bad thing?
Yeah. My reaction, exactly. And it was a lot of videos and a lot of people liking the video and a lot of people saying like, red flag, stay away. So I really wanted to dive into that a little bit because I say that, like when I talk to people about our general practice, I'm an emergency veterinarian, but we own a practice too. I will say that I really work hard for it to feel like a family and that we do get along. So I want to kind of talk a little bit.
Maybe a lot of people don't like their family.
So, okay, you stole one of the points I was going to make. Well, that's it. Podcast over.
I can go back to can't go to the driving race.
So I'm actually going to get my phone out because I screenshotted. I asked on social media, like, what are your thoughts when you see a veterinary job ad say that it's like a family here or it has a family feel? And so I screenshotted some of the replies. So this is the things I got. Toxic work environment, the emoji that's throwing up, yikes. And a lot of people saying that they want to separate their family from work. And they feel like when you hear that, it means that the people basically consider like work their home and are there a lot and don't have boundaries. Run away quickly, red flag, toxic, cringe. There was a lot of really negative things. Clicky, which I was like, okay, I could see that. A lot of eye rolls saying, sure it is. And then this was an interesting one, toxic or no boundaries. And that they felt like a lot of people use the term family friendly to basically make it seem like you should want to be there. You should want to stay extra. You should want to like cover shifts for each other, even when you really don't want to. Like it's almost like a peer pressure thing to help out and to help the family out. So it really made me think about it. The comment that really stuck the most with me was someone saying, I don't think it's a good marketing tool because a lot of people have really bad relationships with their families. So when they think of family feel or family friendly, they don't think of a positive, they think of a negative. So what are your thoughts on that initially? And does that kind of make a little more sense about why people say that?
I think it does make sense. I've never looked at it in that light. I think maybe people are reading too much into this. Because I think some people probably use it just as a marketing ploy to say we're like a family, right? And maybe they are, maybe they aren't. So I think maybe people are digging too deep into it to think that they're insinuating that they're going to have to work long hours or there's no boundaries or it's toxic. I don't know. I mean, I was thinking at the other business we own, we've got a young group of people that work for us, a lot of which maybe don't have great family life, maybe don't have fathers. and we're able to kind of breathe life into some of those younger generations. And I think about that as like a family, feel, a family business.
Yeah.
We've had guys text some of our other partners saying, happy Father's Day, stuff like that. So
they really like mentor and like feed into the younger
they really
guys.
are like part of the family. I mean, they stay and, cook steaks after work for them some nights, stuff like that. So I think we in other businesses treat it like it is a family business, and we want those guys to succeed and progress and move on if necessary to progress their career. In our practice here, I mean, we have ongoing text messages that everybody participates in. We shut them off at 9:00, so it's not interfering with people sleeping. But I think when we say we are family feel, family friendly, we mean, people want to be there. They want to hang out together. They want to bring their kids, that type of stuff. So I don't know. I've never looked at it in other light before.
I haven't
as
either.
Being a negative.
I mean, honestly, I appreciated the feedback because to me, one, as a business owner who's marketing for a job, I want my ad to be something that speaks to everybody, right? And if that is going to be such a red flag for certain people, I probably wouldn't put it in there anymore.
It might be a good feel.
But I think when talking to somebody, I would probably want to talk about more the culture and why I would say it has that family feel. So, for me, yes, some of the younger people that work on our team, like we have one that wants to go to vet school. We actually have two. And I really feel like I'm, an encourager of them, almost like a mom of like, where are you at with that? Where do you want to go? Really mentoring them and really trying to lift them up in that. We really do enjoy each other at work. Some people do hang out outside of work, but I could see where that could be perceived as cliquey for the people that don't get invited to hang out. But also, like, we've had a couple pretty significant health issues at our practice where people have had to be out for a while, and being able to say,
out for family members.
Yes, or have family members that are sick and are going through things, and being able to say, like, our culture is one where we want you to be able to support the people in your life that you need to be there for. And that is most important. Our practice is secondary or third, to the people in your life that need you. So take care of them, take the time off. Obviously, let's do it in a way that we can try to cover and schedule and, we all support one another. But my goal is that if someone has a sick kid or someone has a parent or someone has their own health issue, that they feel really comfortable reaching out to me and saying, hey, this is going on, even if it's the morning of, and that I have set our practice up in a way that we can still function and we can still pay our bills, but we can also allow them the freedom to not feel guilty about that and to feel supported, because life happens, like things happen, and you can't say that you're not going to be flexible and you're not going to be supportive. So I think because you and I maybe have really supportive, loving families, to us it is a positive. But I can 100%, after reading these messages, see why it would be a negative and why people would see it that way.
Yeah, I've never thought of it like that, but I can see that as well. So would you think these individuals, if they saw that ad, would just move on to the next one?
So I do think so. The interesting thing was there was at least 3 comments where people said, I used to always think it was a negative. However, my new practice has shown me it's not. Or that used to be my thought. However, I have experienced A, B, and C, and now I see the value of it. So I think, one of the things I would probably tell people who automatically see that and want to turn away is if everything else about a practice looks ideal for you, it may be worth visiting, because if it's not a lie and if they truly are a supportive place where they care about each other, where they still have boundaries, but where you can grow and thrive, then it's still a great practice. And maybe they didn't pick like the right marketing words for that for every generation, but I can see where, it would turn people off and they wouldn't even give a place a chance. So I did like that some people were like, yeah, my thought process was like run away from that place. But I've learned it does truly exist. Now, the other interesting thing is, and I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but I have seen practices and heard, horror stories. And I think this is what people envision of, the vet is the owner and the wife or partner is maybe like the practice manager, and their personal relationship makes it a negative place. Or there is favoritism because the daughter's the head technician, or so I could see where,
yeah, true.
where things get that entwined, that people kind of see the negatives of family life, right? You and I are very intentional on trying to separate what our jobs are with the practice, kind of how we interact.
I feel like you're in my swim lane a lot.
Why does this have to turn into a negative against me? Okay, explain yourself. I'm going to take a sip of coffee. Make your case real quick, Shane Crocker.
I don't really have a case. I was just making a point.
I have been in your swim lane a little bit recently, and that is because we are starting the renovation, and I want it to happen, and I want it to happen yesterday. But I think after being married to me for 16 years, you're very aware of my drive and my lack of patience sometimes, right? So I apologize if I've been in your swim lane recently. But I do think that if you have a practice where you're looking to go to and you find out that there are, immediate family members that also work at that practice, I think really asking questions about what are their jobs, how is that defined, how do they, communicate might be worth it if it's something you're nervous about.
Yeah. I mean, we've talked about finding a practice in other podcasts. Don't let those words deter you from at least, like you said, going to visit, try it out. Just like there's other things in there that you may not, completely be open to, but if the location's right and there's other things that seem right, go and at least get a feel for it before you just blow it off.
Because on the other hand, where, you have the negative practices where it is toxic and, those relationships don't add to the practice, I've seen really great practices where you have a husband and wife team that work together. They work really well together. Adobe Animal Center, Dr. Staten, her and her husband work very closely in that practice. It's a huge, successful practice. We were just at a practice locally that might be looking to sell. That husband and wife built it together. Huge, beautiful new building, amazing practice that they've set up together. So, and they have a really long-term staff that seems to love it there. And a lot of what they were telling us about the practice is how they really do take care of each other and they really care about each other and they really want their team taken care of if they do decide to transition out of ownership. So I've seen it work really well. It makes me, I guess it kind of makes me sad that certain people have had such a bad experience, whether in a hospital or personally, that it's such an off-putting term to them.
I would agree.
Let me look and see if there's any other comments that that I missed. That I think the boundaries one was the other really big one that I thought was interesting. And
don't individuals set their own boundaries though? In a way?
Yes and no. So there's definitely been practices that I've been a part of where I didn't feel supported and empowered to have a life outside of the practice, and the hustle mentality was rewarded. So, if I stayed after, if I did extra cases, if I, kind of went above and beyond, I was seen as a great employee. And if I had just done what I was hired to do, maybe I would have been seen as not as great of an employee. So the standard that was set was, you would go kind of above and beyond, and that's not something everyone can do. And I also think that the more accessible you have to be just for emotional things going on in the practice, if there's a lot of feelings, there's a lot of personality things. I think in a more family, smaller practice, those things can almost overwhelm everybody and turn out to be a negative, that you know so much about each other and you share so much about each other and you can't really set up boundaries. I mean, do you think you experience that all with your other business, with the people?
I keep arm's length from all that.
But we have a lot of really close connections with that business. So who all works in that business with you?
Your dad, my brother-in-law, long-term friends, another father-in-law.
My sister.
Sister.
Everybody.
There's a lot of family involved.
Yeah. So, I think that you guys have set up, again, very solid, this is my job, this is what I do, and also lines of communication of who's in charge of who. But I could see where the lines can get muddied, especially if someone's not getting along in the family for whatever reason, right? So there has to be a level of professionalism that occurs when family members work together in a practice. But I think for me, on the whole, I would not turn away from a job potentially if I saw that. it wouldn't be enough for me to just say no. There was one other comment that I thought was really interesting. And this is one that I think we need to think about a little bit. But they said, would everybody who works there say that? Or is it just one person's perspective or leadership's perspective? And I thought that was actually a really thoughtful thing, because as, an owner of a practice or a leader, there's a culture you want, there's a thing you want. And, your bias is probably going to be to look at the practice and say, oh yeah, look, I've done that. Look, I've created that culture. Look, that person feels supported. Look, that person can bring their kid when they're sick. Look, that person can. But is there a flip side of employees that are like, I feel like the people that have kids and can bring their kids or can take off when their kids are sick, like get favoritism because of that. And I don't, right? Or I feel like people always expect me to show up because A, B, or C has this going on in their personal life and they're given free reign to take off whenever and do whatever. And I don't feel like I should have to always cover for them. Or I'm not invited to the things outside of work, right? Like there's fun things going on and I don't get to go. And so maybe I am a little shorter with certain people at work because I don't feel like I'm a part of the group. I don't feel like I'm on the inside of the crowd. And I think that kind of made me reflect a little bit that there could be some things in our practice that could be seen that way. And so as a leader and as an owner, my job is to make sure that I am checking in with people, I'm talking to people, and I'm making sure that as much as I perceive something is going on, that they actually feel like it is truly that way. And that everyone in our practice would agree with that. Someone made a good point and did say that they said, so up until my current hospital, it was a huge red flag, but we have found family dynamic and it's not a red flag. So kind of what you were alluding to in the very beginning of you have people who actually don't have a support system in their lives. They don't have people who care about them, and their found family, so the people they work with, are the people that they now consider family. And I love that.
And I can see too, where maybe it's hard to break into that environment. Like you mentioned earlier, cliquish in a way, but also just breaking in as a new employee. Like how do you fit in? How do you get embraced by that family? Kind of like the new girlfriend or whatever coming home to meet the family for the first time. Like how does that practice really accept the new employees? I've never really thought about that before, but if you say you are really a family practice, everybody's so close, and how is that family going to accept a new member?
I do think that's why it's even more important, and we do this, is to be intentional with your new hires. And I have always said, like, I will never hire just to have a body in the hospital. Like, I would rather go in there and work myself as a technician if I have to than just have somebody come in, because it's really important for me that we have a good culture and we have a good team. And so we hired somebody from Colorado. We're in Texas, and we paid for her to fly out and come do a working interview and come spend time with us, because I was like, there's no way I'm going to just hire someone without seeing them, and not so much seeing and talking to them myself, seeing how they interact with this team, seeing how they, spend time with them. We have a lot of fun with each other. We play jokes on each other. We, really truly enjoy each other. And if you have somebody who can't do that, it's not the right fit, and that's okay, right? Because there's a practice out there for them. But I think having a working interview where they can actually interact, and on the flip side, as the person looking to join the team, if you hear that there's people working there that are related, seeing how that also works is important.
So knowing what we know, would you change a listing to say something different than we're a family-friendly practice?
I would.
I think so too.
I would definitely change it. If you are marketing and you're looking to hire right now,
maybe go more cultural, like we have a culture of.
Yeah, you could say a supportive culture, or, we support, you having a fulfilling life outside of practice and outside of the hospital, or there's ways that you can still say like what you need to say. Honestly, have you read the ad that I made for our hospital?
Is this a trick question? Should I say yeah? I'm going to go with yes.
You did not.
I did not.
You did not. So I hate being traditional. I hate being normal, right? And so I was looking at...
Why are we running ads?
We're not right now, but
okay.
When we were hiring, Okay.
What if we have a finance committee meeting real quick?
I can get myself in
HR
trouble for
meetings
paying for ads.
starting.
So I was trying out like different platforms just to kind of see like which platforms actually were working for hiring and things like that. So I made, different ads on different ones to see kind of for who we're targeting, where's that going to be. I'm in charge of marketing. I have my process. Just like let me do it.
This is where the waters kind of flow in a little bit.
Yeah, you're getting in my lane. Stay out of my lane.
This is our contractor calling.
Oh, okay. Well, hold on a second. We're almost done, JP. We got our permits today.
Yes.
Did you tell him that? Is that why?
I did. He's probably freaking out.
He's calling. Very exciting. So on our ad, I put, and I don't know like off the top of my head the exact wording, but I put something like, our practice is an 80s rom-com girl. All she needs is a little love and a touch up, and she's going to be like the homecoming queen, because we have an older building and it's been around for a long time. So it's trying to make the analogy of like, the girl that like in the movie, she's like wearing glasses. She's like a little dumpy, and then she gets like the makeover and she's like Belle of the Ball. And I just
Sports Center.
I thought it was so funny. And I thought, I don't know, I just enjoyed doing it. So if you've seen that ad or if you appreciate my humor, please let me know. And
we need to check the ROI on this because
I don't want to lose my marketing job overall. I've been able to hire. But I will say that ad specifically did not perform as well
as you anticipated
as the other one. So, but I thought it was hilarious.
I don't know why.
As long as I think it's hilarious, that I don't really care. So yes, I think that to, break it down, I think it's really good, one, to use social media as a way to learn and not just to put content out. And as a leader and a practice owner, it's really taught me a lot. And being open to other thought processes is going to help you grow as a person. Two, understanding that the word family could actually be a trigger for some people and a red flag versus something that is a positive and a support. I know, which I think you and I are very blessed in that regard. Three, that if you are truly marketing to find a veterinarian right now, I really wouldn't have the word family in your ad anywhere. Even if you mean it positively or with good intention, I would try to just get people in to interview and show them versus telling them that you are that way. And four, if you say that, you better back it up.
Deliver.
Yeah, because a lot of people think it's a negative because they've had experiences in veterinary medicine that showed that it was toxic and that it was cliquey and that it wasn't a good thing. So ultimately, I would take it out of your marketing, and I still love our practice. I still love the culture we've created. I love working with you, even though you make me a little crazy sometimes. So coming up.
Not my fault.
Coming up in life and in things, I'm pretty much not going to many other conferences the rest of this year. I'll be at the Hills New Grad Symposium in California in about 2 weeks, teaching the new grad veterinarians, which is exciting. And then next year, the next big conference I'm going to be at is Western in Vegas. And that's always a fun one that you come to with me. We're actually working on some exciting things for the conference. So I'm hoping it all works out. And we're going to have some interactive things, hopefully, on the exhibit floor where you can interact with me and some other social media personalities. So look forward to that. If you enjoyed our podcast or if you want to submit questions, you can reach out to us on any of the social media platforms at Questions with Crocker. You also can email us. That's somewhere on one of the social media platforms.
Don't email me on it.
Don't email Shane. Again, you can watch us on YouTube, and then you can listen to us on Apple or Spotify. Make sure, if you enjoy this, to leave us a quick little review. Even if you just do the stars and don't write anything, great. Bonus points if you want to write a little blurb or sentence. We really appreciate your feedback. We really appreciate your support. And I hope you guys have a wonderful week.
I have a feeling people are going to ask about my golf grips.
They're going to want to know what your clubs are because your game is so stellar.
That's right.
All right, guys. Have a great day. Thanks so much for listening.